UNH has broken through a very major ascending support, guys. Are we headed to the bottom of this range, or are we going to get that bounce at that 295, reclaiming that support and possibly trending higher? Now, starting this analysis on the weekly time frame, I want to show you guys quickly the history of UNH, right? Very stagnant up until this point. We find the support and we start making moves up. Energy is building, and we see it kind of just like a mountain, guys, climbing all the way up to this major consolidation zone of 432 and 545. That's where you see the chop. So we get that huge leg up, guys. Bounce off that support once again, and boom. Just like a mountain, not a lot holding us back up until we get to this range, and then a little bit of long-term battle between the buyers and the sellers. Lots of back and forth, and then we find that all-time high of 621, guys. We try to reclaim that 545 resistance as support. We can't do so. We see a bounce off this descending support here, and we try to get back to those all-time highs. We top lower, and then that's when you see this drastic sell-off that really scared a lot of people out of UNH, guys. A lot of long-term investors see this, and they're confused. Lots of bad news with UNH, guys, but we do find that bottom, bounce off there, and we are in an ascending profile. We didn't make any drastic moves to the upside. You see a very quick sell-off like that. You would think that buyers step in here and at least fill this candle. Still a lot of back and forth, right? We find that bottom, but really just trending sideways, guys. Not a lot going on. And on the monthly, guys, for a better perspective, you could see right where we bottomed off at. It's kind of where that stock picked up that steam. You get really volatile around that zone, and that's where you pick up all the way to that consolidation zone, right? That major consolidation. So, to see that, guys, we do find that bottom, which is nice, but we are very sideways here, and it looks like a lot of indecision. All right, guys, on the daily, right, we got that top off of that 602 level, and that's where you see that gap down. And this isn't just any gap down, guys. I mean, from that point to here, we're talking about a 16% loss, and we're also talking about, around a $100 loss here, right? $100 gap down. Between that time period, that is a $200 movement down. And then you see that continued gap down and red selling candle within this range. That's where we get in that pennant range. So very volatile and very quick movement down. And we get in this range, guys, we bounce off there. See a lot of buying pressure around that 247 to 250 psychological level. It's still relatively volatile up until we get to around that, $295 level. That's where you see tight price action. So we go from extremely volatile, right? Extremely volatile, bouncing up and down, and then we see extremely tight price action kind of squeezing out of that. Someone has to win, buyers or sellers. We've met with the resistance, we've met with the support, and buyers win that. But then we get into another, descending resistance type of formation. So we find more descending resistance, and then once again, buyers meet with the support as well as a resistance, and then boom, get back up there, guys, and buyers win that fight once again, claiming through that $317 level. So at this point, we're looking good for the buyers, right? We've won this first battle, got out of there, found that ceiling of 317, gone in another descending range, right, with that resistance meeting with that same support. Boom, get out of that 1, 2, 3 green candles in a row with a very prominent solid green candle closing above that $317 level, as well as engulfing this candle right here, which was towards the top of that pennant range. And from that point, guys, we closed around that, $326 to $327 level. But then from there, sellers step right back in, pushing us right back down. And from that 327, guys, we go the next day to that 307. So we lose about $20 on that day from what we try to gain and get out of. But at this point, we still are above that break from that resistance and that support. Sellers haven't fully engulfed this candle right here, but then sellers step in for 2 more consecutive days right at that support level that held for 1, 2 breaks of formation, guys. So very important support, as this was the support in this very tight price action. Aided this first breakthrough, aided the second breakthrough. So buyers step in, putting us right back above that support. But then, guys, most recently today, we closed pretty prominently below that support level. So we do see a lot of buying pressure, as a lower wick like that, guys, a long lower wick indicates buying pressure. So we do see a red hammer candle, sellers close red, but we do see a lot of buying pressure, which is to be expected after getting pushed out of a pretty major range. Not the price action you really want to see as a buyer, as it's a very important support to hold. So as a buyer, you want to see a quick reclaim within the next day or two, reclaiming that support, using it once again and trending higher, trying to get back to that $327 level, because after that, we're pretty much cleared to the top there, that 339. If we can't reclaim that ascending support, it's very likely that we get back to that 295 and then the bottom of that range, right? Bottom of that consolidation around that 287. If that 295 cannot hold, Further from there, we'd really be clear to the bottom. If that 285 couldn't hold, which would be the bottom of this overall formation, we're looking very prone to another move back down to that 255. The sellers are still in this fight, and they've made it known today as we close below that support level. So watch for a retest and reclaim of that support as a buyer. And as a bear, watch for that 295 not to hold, and then watch for that 285, which would be that peak bottom of this formation here. And if sellers can really push us below that 285, guys, we would definitely be trying to retest this ascending support here, which is a long-term ascending support. If we can't hold that, right back down to the bottom of that 255. So yeah, guys, we do remain neutral, but not a good sign here, as we were short-term bullish on UNH with this price action, but seeing, sellers step right back in here and getting us under this support, we really have to reclaim it pretty quickly to, remain bullish. If we do reclaim it, it's okay. And if we do bounce out that 295, we're still short-term bullish as we are still in this general formation. Furthermore, that 285, but definitely, guys, look for that reclaim of that support and that retest of 317. Guys, we have a lot of gaps to fill. Above that 339, we have a huge gap to that 376. Furthermore, we got all this movement downwards very, very fast. We have a lot of space to go for the buyers, so we have a lot more upside for the buyers than we do have for the downside for the sellers. A lot more upside potential, but in the short term, definitely not the price action you want to see from today. We'll see if buyers can step in here and quickly reclaim it, see if it's a fake out, which could definitely happen, guys. A lot of times you get that fake out. We do still have that buying pressure, so all is not lost if we quickly reclaim that. With that being a fake out on the ride, that is setting support a little bit more. Trying to get back up to the top of this range, break through that 339 and fill this gap right here, guys. I don't think all is lost. I think we still got a chance to reclaim that setting support, but keep your eyes on those closer support and resistance levels, guys. Now on the hourly, the only thing I really want to look at here, because we don't have to micro analyze the stock at this moment, we do see that break of the setting support, and that's the most important level, right? We got above to that 326-ish level that we were covering on the daily, but then we see that drastic sell-off mirroring that exact move, right? We get that exact move down, so we're tight. We break through that range. It's the second range we break out of. Very nice buyer price action, but then we get mirrored exactly. Sellers do the exact move down, covering this exact thing, guys. So cover this entire range, moving us right back down. And from that mirroring move, guys, that's where we got pushed under that, ascending support right here, guys. So we do want to reclaim that, and that's what buyers try to do. So buyers try to step in here, get above it, hold for a few hourly candles, but then we gap down. And that's where, sellers gain that control and buyers try to push it back up. We cannot fully get back above filling that gap, and we close right by the start of that candle. So we go from gapping down and we close pretty much exactly at that level of 303.75. Closing at that 302.91. So we can't get above this range here, guys. We still stay below this gap down range, and we cannot fill that gap. So on the next trading day, you definitely want to see that gap get filled, reclaim this ascending support, ride that ascending support, and then another move up, trying to retest that 317, and ultimately try to retest the high right here, guys, at that $326 level. So UNH is in a very interesting spot here. We definitely want to reclaim that ascending support. If we don't, and so stay in that control and we can't fill that gap on the hourly, definitely could be looking to, the downside and the bottom of that consolidation range and that tighter formation. Keep your eyes on that reclaim and that retest of 317. If we do reclaim that ascending support, could just be a fake out, guys. All is not lost yet. Definitely want to see what price can do within the next day or two of trading and see how we can react to that gap down, and sellers really trying to push us under that ascending support. See if buyers can step in here. Now, if you guys want to see more UNH, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment your price predictions below. I'll continue to cover UNH as well as other major tickers. Trade smart, and I will see you all in the next one.